Welcome to part 2 of my review of the Taurus TX22. Now in part 1 we discussed the many features of the TX22, we compared it to several other pistols that are on the market, and we also gave some first impressions of the TX22. Here in part 2, we gear up and head out to the range with the TX22, shooting over 1,300 rounds, starting with sighting in the firearm using the adjustable sights. We shoot from the bag, we shoot freehand, we shoot slow rapid fire from different distances throughout the range to give you an objective view of what you can expect from the TX22. So we finally head out to the range with the pistol. After our first range session, we'll field strip the pistol to see if there's anything unusual happening with it, along with commenting on any of the pros and cons of what we've discovered after running the TX22 through the paces. Now our first range session is going to set up a target at 7 yards and fire the TX22 from a bag. Our first 5 shots are low and left of the bullseye, so we're going to have to make a sight adjustment. As you can see, we shot a better group that second time around. We got pretty lucky. We went about a half a turn counterclockwise on the sight. By raising the sight, you raise up your point of impact. Now just note that I prefer to shoot at a 6 o'clock hold on a target, so the adjustability of the sights makes that possible. The elevation adjustment screw on the TX22 is located at the rear of the sight. I adjusted the sight to the right, which will move the point of impact on the target to the right. As you can see by that group, I think we're pretty much set in at 7 yards. The location of the windage adjustment screw on the TX22 is located at the front of the sight. Moving the target out to 20 yards, we're going to take another series of 4 5-round groups off the bag. Now at 20 yards, we could see that our groups definitely opened up a little bit. We had a few flyers here. It was definitely operator error. I felt myself pull the trigger in a way that wasn't good. So I know that I pulled a few of these shots off. But basically these groups have really, within 3 inches at 20 yards, not really bad from a firearm that's not designed to be a bullseye shooting type of pistol. Very acceptable for steel challenge on 8 and 10-inch plates at 20 yards. One thing I did notice is after about 250 rounds that one of the roll pins that keeps the chassis in the polymer frame started to come out a little. Now we moved our target out to 35 yards, which is the furthest distance for steel challenge shooting. Now this is a 4-inch barrel and a 22 long rifle, so I'm really expecting those groups to open up. By the way, we're right around 400 rounds through the gun, fresh out of the box, no malfunctions whatsoever. Now these groups were shot from the bag. When I was sighting in freehand, the groups were more centered towards the center of the bullseye. They're still spread out a little bit. The groups open up out at this distance. But you're going to notice a difference in the point of impact between freehand and shooting off the bag. So we've done a lot of slow fire shooting to get a feel for the firearm and to set in the sights to where we like them. Now at 7 yards, it's time to do some rapid fire. We changed up the target to something that's a little bit bigger so we have quicker target acquisition. And this is actually the first time I'm running the magazines at full capacity, which was 16 rounds, and they were very easy to load, even without the magazine loader that's included with the TX22. Also, with the size of the firearm, it's great to use a universal holster. It'll fit right in there, and you shouldn't have an issue. So let's load and make ready. Now that's well over 500 rounds. I didn't clean the firearm at all, and it ran perfectly. last series of rapid firing, we did have a malfunction, a failure to feed. The ammunition stayed in the magazine and didn't feed into the chamber. Now, we have well over 600 rounds through this firearm right now. We didn't clean it, so I'm not sure if it's an ammunition issue or if the gun is starting to malfunction because it's pretty much dirty. So the only way to really tell that if our firearm is malfunctioning because it's dirty is to keep on shooting it. Being new to the pistol, I experimented with where the slack in the trigger can be taken up, where the trigger breaks the shot off, and the feel and location of the trigger reset. It'll take a few more range trips before getting accustomed to these trigger points before being able to consistently manipulate the trigger properly in order to take full advantage of the TX22's surprisingly excellent trigger. Getting used to those trigger points should also increase speed and accuracy when rapid firing the TX22. Towards the end of the range session, I set the TX22 sights to be zeroed in at 20 yards. I thought it to be a good compromise between short range and long range shooting. To further test that 20 yards was a decent compromise, I took 5 shots freehand at 4 different distances, ranging between 7 and 35 yards. All 20 rounds printed within 7 inches. So after our first trip at the range with our TX22, we found a great many things. One, it's a super reliable pistol. We shot over 1,300 rounds of high velocity federal bulk ammunition, 36 grains, and we only had one miscue, and I really do believe it was an ammunition issue where it got jammed in the magazine. So I think with a little bit higher grade ammunition, we wouldn't have had all that much of a problem. We also tried standard velocity ammunition. The pistol functioned flawlessly with that. Where there were a few hiccups where it failed to cycle was when you get into your specialty ammunitions, you know, the super subsonic type of ammos. The ammunition just doesn't have enough oomph to cycle the slide back and forth. So I tell you what, TX22, MSRP of $349. You can find it at your dealer for most likely under $300. A very nice platform and a very welcome addition to anyone's gun safe. Returning back from the range, we took a moment to wipe down most of the residue, the heavy stuff. We just used a paper towel. We didn't use any solvents or anything like that. And we used a toothbrush to get the residue out of the harder to reach places, but not a really deep clean as of yet. We did notice the usual wear marks. We didn't see anything, really to cause attention to a particular area, just normal wear and tear on a semi-auto pistol. As noted at the range, this roll pin right here located above the trigger did come out about after 250 rounds. So you want to make sure that you check that roll pin. We're going to take a moment a little bit later on to recess that back in a little bit more. Hopefully that won't be an issue in the future. We took a look at the slide. Again, wiped it down real quick. We didn't do a deep cleaning on it. Really nothing that stands out other than what was reported by several people is right here at the back of the ejection port. There was some chipping of the finish, but I think that's just mostly a cosmetic thing. Nothing to really cause much issue. We did notice a little tiny wear mark here. I'm not sure exactly what is causing that, but as far as the inside of the rails, I mean, it's in perfect condition. It almost looks brand new, and that's after 1,300 rounds. So we took a moment to closely inspect the barrel. We looked at the locking lugs. We didn't notice anything that's really going to cause alarm or an issue. No, strange wear or anything of that nature. Just regular marks on it from use, 1,300 rounds. Nothing out of the ordinary that you wouldn't find on any semi-automatic pistol. Now you'll notice a bit of wear here on the back of the barrel. That's no big issue. It's the same kind of wear that you're going to get on any semi-automatic pistol. We looked at the feed ramp. Initially I thought maybe it would need a polishing and benefit from it, but the way the TX22 fired ammunition, 1,300 rounds with no big real feeding issue into the chamber, I really don't see a reason to polish it. Now I didn't wipe the bore or the barrel or the lands and the grooves at all. I wanted to see if there's any excessive lead buildup in there. I mean, there is some powder residue, but actually after 1,300 rounds, it doesn't look all that bad. And once I do a little bit deeper cleaning in it and use a brush, if there's any issue, I'll be sure to report it. I also didn't notice any excessive wear on either side of the barrel or even on the top. The extractor groove is actually going to show some wear, but that's where the extractor rides, but nothing excessive. Now you're going to notice some wear marks on the bottom and the top of the barrel where the barrel rides a slide. That's normal, and after 1,300 rounds, I really expected this to be a little bit more marred up, but it's showing to be actually quite clean. Now, although we didn't have any major accuracy issues with the TX22, I do believe accuracy could have been improved if that alignment was a little bit more optimized at the 6 o'clock position. As noted at our unboxing, the flat spots on the muzzle protector actually interrupts full engagement or lessens as much engagement as could have been achieved with the bottom of the barrel to the bottom of the slide at the 6 o'clock position. As noted at our out-of-the-box first impressions of the TX22 sights, with the front dot being the same size as the rears, when on target at the range, I found it a little bit distracting because the front dot appeared much smaller than the rear. Another thing about the TX22's front dot is that it's slightly recessed into the sight blade. Now we're shooting at the range on a very sunny day, and we noticed that the dot just basically disappeared. I'm going to try to simulate that for you now. You can see that there's a shadow being cast upon the dot at this position, which is 12 o'clock to the slide. Basically, the dot just disappears. So is it a deal breaker? Absolutely not, but it is worth something noting on the front sight of the TX22. The low-profile 3-dot adjustable sights of the TX22 proved adequate to quickly acquire a sight picture, though again, the front dot should be a bit larger. We also experienced, as many have who've shot the TX22, chipping of the finish right here to the top and rear of the ejection port. One review I found spoke of dry firing the pistol. After over 500 dry firings, there is no visible indentations on the breech face, nor was the firing pin showing any indication of deformity. Now, it's extremely difficult to narrow down just one favorite feature of the TX22. Being an economical pistol that is very reliable, accurate, and is loaded with many features that are actually usable, I would have to say that the trigger is definitely my favorite feature. If I were a gun manufacturer, I would definitely expand the use of this type of trigger to the other models produced, or at least offer it as an option. Though the trigger pull weighs in at 5 1/4 pounds, it is very smooth, and a trigger shoe that is somewhat wider than the average trigger found on a semi-auto makes for a comfortable, easy operated trigger. The take-up or travel of the trigger to where the trigger breaks the shot is rather short. The very short trigger reset allows for accurate follow-up shots either during slow or rapid fire. The next feature that I can really appreciate about the TX22 is how the grip is designed. Not only the texturing on it, but how the contours just welcome my small hands very well. As I have small hands, I find it difficult at times to control and fire very well a full-size frame pistol. Now, after taking the pistol and placing it in the hands of several different people with different sized hands, all said that the grip is very comfortable for them and that the firearm pointed well. As noted at our unboxing, the TX22 has these indentations or scallops to either side of the frame. Now, if you have a very forward grip, they come in real handy not only to index your grip, but for recoil control. The same can be said for your trigger finger when indexing when off target. For those that prefer to use the index finger of their support hand as rest or added support on the front of the trigger guard, we found this extended piece of the trigger guard very helpful and very comfortable. A good grip on a pistol from out of the holster or from the ready position aids with keeping the pistol in alignment with the arm and transfers over to improved time acquiring a target along with better hits upon it. If I had to pick just one more overall feature of the TX22, it would be the build of the pistol. Not only is it the same size as most centerfire pistols and the control setup in the same type of configuration, but the build quality is pretty good. I never felt like I had to baby the pistol. I could aggressively work the slide and the controls of the pistol without feeling that I had to baby it. This is especially helpful for quick action or malfunction drills. This is where I really would have liked to have seen the polymer sights be of some sort of metal, whether it be steel or aluminum. The deep, well-pronounced cocking serrations to the front and rear of the slide provided for press checks and cocking back of the slide very easily. For shooters that might have weak arms or weak hands and find it hard to manipulate a slide, we're going to take my pinky. TX22 is very easy to work the slide. Now, one thing that may account for the one malfunction that we had is the magazines. This is the magazine that we use mostly throughout the review. It operates very smoothly, feeds the ammo in, very nice, very smooth. I went ahead and purchased a few extra magazines from Taurus. I noticed as I took them out of the box that there's a little drag spot right in this little area here. Now, these are new magazines and they're polymer. So after working that magazine, that drag spot tends to break in and work fine. Now, I can't be 100% sure that that's what caused our malfunction. However, if I thought about it before our range session, I would have definitely taken the time to work those loading buttons into the polymer magazine, basically breaking in the magazine. Here on forward, any pistol that I get that have a similar setup to load the magazines in such a manner, I'll definitely take the time to work the magazine so I'll feed the ammunition smoothly. At the first range session, I realized that some of the magazine changes didn't go as smoothly as they should have. As with a new pistol, there is a break-in period for all these parts to kind of wear into each other. After the range, I went home and performed several hundred magazine changes. Now the magazines fall freely of the pistol. In the magazine well of the TX22, there are tiny little lobes to help center and stabilize the magazine. Again, after several hundred magazine changes and a break-in period, those magazines now fall freely from the pistol. Here's a better look at those ridges inside the magazine well of the TX22. Just as with any other pistol, there is a break-in period. Once the polymer ridges smoothed down a little bit, there is no issue with the magazines falling freely from the pistol. The same thing could be said for the notches in the magazine of where the magazine release latch connects. Once these edges are worn down a little bit, there is no issues of the magazine falling freely from the pistol. Also note here, one of the ridges that are rubbing against the magazine, once that wears in a little bit better, there should be no issue whatsoever with the magazine coming free. So 1,300 rounds with only one malfunction, not a big issue. To allow a little bit of a break-in period so the polymer molded parts are smoothed out, not a big issue. It just means that the TX22 gets smoother the more it's used. A follow-up trip to the range proved that working those magazines out of magazine release and putting them back in definitely helped with the smoothness of the magazine releasing from the firearm. Also, after resetting the roll pin in the frame, we had no other issues with it coming loose or coming out of the frame. After digging around on the internet just a little more, I found a few more reviews and some products of interest. One YouTuber has claimed that he shot his TX22 over 5,500 times, and the only problem he experienced was the same thing that I had, just chipping of the finish right here at the back of the ejection port. One more YouTuber had a do-it-yourself project where he took the front sight blade off the TX22 and replaced it with the front sight of a Glock. Now there was some minor fitting that had to be done, but it looked like he did a fantastic job on it, and he claims he has no issues with the front blade. Now of all the video reviews on the internet, most of them say basically the same thing, but one really stands out. There's a YouTuber out there that took his TX22 and gave it the old Glock torture test. He put it in a bucket of water, took it out, shook it a few times, it fired perfectly. He put it in some mud and some dirt, he took the safety off, it fired perfectly. He froze it, he unthawed it, took the safety off, fired, it worked perfectly. Now, we're just gonna have to take that gentleman's word on it, because there's no way I'm gonna do that with my TX22. Now at the time of this video, there's not really much aftermarket support as far as performance parts goes for the TX22. However, there are a few products out there. Now when it comes to holsters and magazine holders, because the TX22 is a full frame pistol, it fits into many universal type holsters on the market. As the magazine is around the same dimensions as a 1911, you can find a 1911 magazine holder just about anywhere. However, there is one holster company out there that does make a special fit Kydex holster just for the TX22. I found at least 3 companies that make a base plate for the magazine that increases the capacity from 16 to 19. When it comes to upgrading the sights on the TX22 to say fiber optics, as of the time of this video, I only found one company that listed TX22 on their website. Now the sights that they have listed for the TX22 also cross-references over to other popular Taurus pistols. Therefore, I can only assume that if it fits those model of Taurus pistols, it'll fit the TX22. This company also offers a red dot plate for installation into the back of the slide. You take out the back sight, you put the mounting plate into the dovetail, and you mount the red dot onto the mounting plate. Now, being a new pistol, I can understand the lack of aftermarket support for it right now. However, having some experience with the TX22, I can really see this platform becoming popular, and I can't wait to see the type of performance parts, accessories, and holsters that will be available for the TX22 in the future. Now, I can predict with some certainty that the TX22 is going to see a lot of good, fun, quality range time in the near future. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite pistols. Now, if anything should develop that's unfavorable along the way, I'll be sure to update you guys on it. Now, I hope that you found my review of the Taurus TX22 helpful and informative. If you have, please subscribe to Top Predator's shooting channel. Also follow, like, and share on Facebook and Instagram. Now, to further note, I don't work for Taurus or any of the manufacturer's equipment that was seen in this video. I'm just a regular guy giving an unbiased opinion to you, the shooting enthusiast, so that you can make a better informed decision.